nail or beauty school was just the beginning, right? What on earth do you do now? Welcome to the Salon Success Podcast with Monaco Nail Academy. Our topics stretch beyond nails and into all things salon related, business, marketing, and social media, and at the very least, hits you with real, honest stories about our experiences. This isn't school, this is real life, real business, and really freaking hard work. Before we get started, wherever you are, thumbs up, tag a friend in the comments, or hit that share button and support small business. Hey guys, it's Mel here from Monaco Nail Academy, and today I'm joined by Erin.
Hello.
And we've also got Penny and Pat here, but they are just taking a little break to get some food. And just a reminder before we get started with everyone, you can use Erin's code.
It's Little Moon.
Yeah, and that'll get you 10% off courses. She does get a kickback from these enrollments, and this is how we support the production of the podcast. So before we get stuck into this week's topic, which is entering nail comps, let's revisit last week's podcast. So what we were talking about last week, Erin, because you weren't with us for that one, was operating hours. What's your take on your operating hours?
My operating hours? Okay, so I do work for myself, but I kind of don't as well. So my situation is not the usual I want to work for myself thing. I contract for someone else. So I do 3 days for this particular lady. And then the rest of my time I spend doing stuff with the Nail Academy, with Monaco, and just trying to upskill myself, practicing my nail art skills and things like that. Those 3 days that I work for contracting for someone else, I have set hours. And then my other hours I juggle around other commitments. So I do a couple of other little jobs for friends with cleaning and things like that, just to, you never know if you have a bad week where bookings might be a little bit lower. And so it's quite good to have that for me personally. It just gives me that reassurance that I'm always going to have that set amount of money come in each week. So that's what works for me.
Yeah, nice.
It's like a wee safety net for me.
Yeah, no, that's good, because what we were talking about was you have your operating hours, and if you don't have clients booked in, then you still use those hours to benefit your business, which is what I didn't do. I lied on the couch instead. Anyway.
Yeah. I've had those moments as well, Mel. Sometimes you just need to lay on the couch.
From operating hours and hustling during those operating hours, let's move on to chatting about entering comps. This episode we had requested from Destiny, one of our grads. And she was asking about the nail comps, so she wants to know how the competitions work, how she can practice, and people's experiences entering the comps. So we were all there at the comps last year, all 4 of us. We probably all had very different experiences. It was my first time. Penny was judging. Pat, did you actually enter, or you were there with Monaco?
I was a model for Natty, so that was cool. I was just observing.
And Erin and I both entered, and it was both of our first times, right, Erin?
Yeah, it was my first time. You could clearly see that was the fact that I could barely talk or think, or because I was panicking.
The difference between meeting you that day, Erin, and the next time I saw you in person was like a different human being.
Yeah. And I was still scared the second time I met you in person too, because that was summer, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was still scared, but the first time I was extremely scared.
I was scared the first time I met Penny as well. I was so nervous. Penny, could you tell that I was scared, shitless?
Because Penny's so tall. That's why I tell everyone Penny's so tall, and then she wears boots, so she's hovering over us.
She was sitting down.
This is the thing.
Look at me.
Okay, but here's the thing. The first time I met you, Pat, there was a curtain between us. First of all, you can't say she didn't even look at me. There was a curtain.
Yeah, there was. You were busy.
And you already worked for me as well. It's not like this was meeting. So Pat had enrolled in the course and then done the course and then become part of the Monaco team, and I still hadn't met her in person. And then I was judging, and I knew that she was on her way to Expo and was going to be taking over our socials for the day. And so then she came up and I was in the middle of judging. So I was behind the blind judging curtain and I could hear her voice. And I was like, Pat, I'm over here, because she needed some stuff from me. And then, and then she was like, oh yeah, I'm right here. So I run around the curtain and give her the stuff that she needed. And then I was like, oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah, that's how it went. It was just straight into like doing stuff, but it was cool. I was scared, but like obviously not scared of you anymore, so maybe you should still be scary. I don't know.
It's that meme thing that I sent you guys the other day in the work chat, where I was like, oh, what did it say when people wait, I'm gonna find, you guys talk about comps and I'll find it.
I am so excited about comps next year. Like I think I really want to sign up, because we had the mock comps at Monaco Summit this year, right, Erin? And you were one of the people judging, and that was really exciting. So I guess if we take it from the beginning, like for people who are like, what the heck is a nail comp? Like, Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about what the nail comp is in New Zealand, at least?
Before you do, the meme said, no, you don't want to get to know me. I'm better as a concept. And that sums me up as a person. Now sum up the comps.
Yes, sum up the comps. Okay, so like the nail comps are split into, so for a start, you've got a submitted section. So, and then that submitted section is broken down into different categories as well. And then you have your live on the floor section, which is got different categories as well, and you can choose which categories you want to enter in. So you could, even if you didn't want to do live on the floor and you couldn't physically get to the nail comps, you could just enter in submitted stuff and kind of like break the ice for yourself in that way, because it's a scary thing to do, putting yourself out there. And then the live comps, you've got like just your normal gel manicure type competition, and then you have like extension stuff, and then they do, I'm trying to think what else we had. There was a really fun one, which was the mystery nails, where you got given an envelope with pictures and nail tips on it, and then you had to just like on the spot create these nails. These art nails. So that was a fun one. So also, like, I know that this year would have been only submitted work. So I think every second year they have the live on the floor.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Penny?
It's always been every second year that we had comps, just because of the amount of time and effort that goes into arranging them. And then because last year everyone was so into it, I think they sort of were like, well, we won't do a full thing, but maybe we'll do submitted. Because the other thing is, normally comps happen at the NZ Hair and Beauty Expo, and that is normally every second year. So comps have always just happened at Expo, and then this year Expo was like, we're going to do a bonus one, and comps was like, crap. So then they were like, okay, well, we'll do submitted only. But usually it's just comps at every second year.
Yeah, right. So, which I think is quite good, because like it's a massive amount of effort, and even like I'm sure it is for everyone organizing it, because far out, those ladies looked buggered, man, by the end of that weekend. Those poor women. But even entering, like, you've got to take so much time out of your normal day just like for doing submitted work. I know for me, because I entered the poster, and I just scraped into the novice category for my first time, which was good, because that helped with my nerves, because I was like, oh God, there's no way I'm going to enter open.
Oh, can you explain the categories as well? Because it looks like there's novice, open, masters, and I'm seeing one called student. I don't know if that's a common one.
I will say as we go that like the rules and categories and things in every comp, every country, year to year, they all change and differ. So I'm just sort of disclaimering that this is our experience of comps we've done and stuff on the website for next year, but this isn't like the be all and end all. If you're listening to this, is like, when we say what open means in this competition, it might be slightly different in a different competition.
So definitely go and check the rules and regulations for your specific comp, and don't just rely on what we are saying in the podcast.
So like, the novice is, I believe, you had to have been qualified for under 3 years. And I think I just scraped in there because I think I had said to the ladies, like, it was during COVID and stuff like that that I became qualified. So I was like, yeah, technically I started at this month, my training, but I didn't start working. I think I was like out by like maybe something like 30 days, and they were like, no, that's cool. And they slotted me into that novice section because I probably at that time wouldn't have entered in open because I was too nervous.
2020 means 2023 counts, right? Because that was last year.
Yeah, so that's what, because I think my training started in 2019, end of 2019, like when I first started my training, but I hadn't completed my training. I think on the certificates, Penny, you write when we started our first module is when the dates were. Yeah, so I was like, wow, I didn't know crap at that point. Like I wasn't actually a qualified nail tech, you know. I was
But
just
also
learning.
sometimes novice in the comps means never entered before.
Yeah.
So sometimes in comps
was...
it's totally different. Sometimes it's your qualification. Sometimes, like when I last did comps, novice was you've never entered before. Open was you've entered but you haven't won, and masters was you've entered and you've won.
Okay.
So it's different comp to comp.
Yeah, I think like it's always divided out quite fairly though. Like I thought it was when I did it in what year did I do it? Last year, 2023. Yeah. So I thought that was all set out really well. I think they'd done a great job of working out how to fit people into the correct category. Like entering comps next year would be so good for anyone that hasn't done it, because if you're going to be at Summit, you're going to get like a practice run through, and then you're going to go to comps and do it all again, and you'll be like prepped and ready. And yeah, I think it will help with nerves in terms of feeling unsure about what's expected of you.
Yeah, we didn't have that last year. We didn't have it, so we went in very blindly. Do you think it would have helped you?
100%. Yeah, I was crapping myself.
You guys had we did an online little thing, but not real practice.
Yeah, which I reckon it would be so good because you'd get used to just zoning out what's happening around you, people watching, all the fears that you and I both had of people watching, people being around us. Like, I think you would just get used to it and just block it out.
And then you would like see, so you'll get marked at Summit and you'll see where, so that when you go into comps, you'll be like, right, I know I need to really focus on that thing because that's where I had my lower mark.
Okay, so everybody tell everybody, how did you prep for comps? Like, what was your process in the lead up to comps day when you competed? And or Pat, what did you see from people you modeled for, whatever? Like, let's talk about the lead up to comps.
I don't think I did anything to prep. I definitely didn't practice or anything like that. I was just like, I'll just give it a go. And I'm glad I did, even though I was terrified. I think I might have practiced and put it up on the Monaco page, maybe, like, tell me what I can improve on and stuff like that. But yeah, not a lot, I don't think, which I don't know if that was good or bad.
I was always the same.
I remember, so I didn't really practice my gel polish because I was like, well, I do that constantly. So, and I had limited time to practice anyway around work and stuff at that point. So I just practiced my extensions, and thank God I did, because I don't do sculpted French every day. So that was the thing that I focused on. And then on the day of comps, I don't really remember because I think I blocked a lot of it out because I was so nervous. I actually had met a couple of ladies in the elevator from the hotel I was staying in, and I didn't even remember meeting them in the elevator because I was that nervous that I just had blocked out that I'd even met them, which is crazy. But
that was the first time I met you, and I remember you running up to me and being like, I was talking to somebody else, maybe Trudy, and I remember you being like, move, like, oh, it's Mel, and like, hi Mel, and I remember Trudy being like, what? Because she was like, oh, nobody ran up to me. oh my God, that's Erin. Like, funny.
I'm the same as you though, Mel. I don't ever prep, and I know that annoys some people, but there's this whole thing, like, especially because I first got into comps in Australia. There were no comps here when I started competing. Like, there had been, but there hadn't been for a really long time. And so I was doing bits and pieces in Aussie with Artistic. I'd worked on their expo stand quite a few times. I'd seen comps and been like, I want to do that, but that looks terrifying. And then at one of the educator, essentially, summits in Australia, I got an award, but I can't remember what it was for. And it wasn't for, it was an exam that you had to do. And my award was like for top exam score. So I hadn't even been trying to win, kind of thing. And that definitely just gave me like a little boost, like, oh, whoa, okay, maybe I could do this. The idea of prepping though, like a lot of those people in Aussie, like the Australian nail techs that have won like Oceanic champ like multiple times, it's their full-time job prepping for comps and like practicing and just, nah, I just wouldn't do it. So like most things in my life, I set to wing it or I wouldn't do it. So all of the comps, I don't think I've ever done a practice set, maybe one or two, but not that I remember. And the one time I did photographic, having to actually plan out what I was going to do and get a model and a photographer and all that crap, I was like, this is shit. And I resented it while I was doing it. And I never entered photographic again.
Oh, that's interesting. I love doing the poster and the photographic. I love that whole process of like, I mean, it was tiring because there were some nights I was up till, because I would zone into doing the art, which is what I love about being creative and arty. Like I would sit up till, I don't know, some stupid o'clock in the morning, early hours in the morning, doing the work on these nail tips. And I found the whole process really fun. Like it was a little bit stressful in terms of pressure and I was tired from doing that, but I really enjoyed all that. So I guess different for everyone.
As a baby nail tech, it's so fun calling myself that. As a baby nail tech, like I have been really wondering about comps a lot, but I don't know what the categories mean. Like, for example, when we say photographic, poster, blah, 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 and I'm like, what does that entail? You know, like, because I thought about signing up last year to do one, like the submitted stuff, but because I didn't understand, like, I just wanted more information, but also I didn't want to message Jerry Lee and Amanda and whatever because I was like shy, and which is weird because I'm not shy. But yeah, I was like, I can't ask questions. This is weird. And then
first of all, I will happily speak for Jerry Lee and Amanda when I say they want you to message them, especially because they put so much work into this, so much work. And if no one enters, it was all for nothing. And they have this whole business that essentially folds and this whole endeavor where they are trying to improve the industry, to give us something to strive for, to give us ways to improve, to give us ways of being award-winning nail techs without traveling overseas, which we didn't have for a really long time. And if you don't ask the questions, then you don't enter. And if you don't enter, we don't have New Zealand nail competitions. So anyone listening, message them, ask them the questions, or message us and ask us the questions. But like, whatever is the roadblock to entering, work it out.
And they're so lovely. Like I messaged them quite a lot because I was like you, Pat. I didn't understand what I was supposed to be doing, or and they were so nice, and they were probably the reason why I did enter in the end, because they made me feel like, oh, okay to just enter. Like you may not win, but all the other things you will get out of it will be worth it for you. And it was.
And they've also done the comps 100 million times. Like that's how I know them, is from sitting next to them on the comp stage, like doing comps.
You know, they were new like us one day too, so they understand.
Can the Monaco team do the comps as like a group? Like all of us just sign up and we're like, we're all doing the comps. Yeah, all the mentors. Yeah, everyone.
Every single year, Monaco offers to pay for anyone to enter. And all you have to do is wear a Monaco shirt or apron while you're doing it.
The whole thing?
I think last year we did one comp each, maybe. Yeah, one comp per person. It depends on, we change it every year, but like we've never not said you should all enter. We've always been like, hey, you know what we can help with? The money. So if that's your roadblock, we got that bit.
Yo, what's up? Okay, I'm so signing up next year. I'm so
You also, though, Pat, you said what's the difference between photographic and poster? Nothing. That's the same category. There are the categories that you do live, like Erin was saying before, that you take a model and you do them right then and there at comps. And then there's the categories that you hand in that you do in advance. And this is where people basically make it their full-time job and spend like 40 hours a week for 2 months doing all their hand-ins. And so one of the categories that you can do in advance and submit without having to do it live on the day is photographic or poster, which usually, bearing in mind that categories always change slightly year to year and comp to comp, but it usually means that you get a model, there will be a theme. So like, I think the year I did it, the theme was graffiti, and you make a plan for your nail art, you do a set of nails on a model, then you get hair and makeup done for the model. Sometimes the category is a joint winner between a nail tech, a hairdresser, and a makeup artist for some comps.
Ooh.
And then you get a photographer to take a, like, as if it's going in a magazine, a photo of your done up person in theme, so with backdrop, props, whatever, and then you get that photo, and that photo is submitted. So it is a whole team effort for you, hair, makeup, model, photographer, all of that, plus planning for the props, the backdrop, the nail art, all on theme. The year I did it, it was just for me. I was the only like prize winner, but like, well, like, you know, it was just a nail competition. But yeah, other years they have trio comps where it's a competition for all 3 artists. But yeah, so that is either photographic or poster, or there's probably other names for it.
So with my one that I entered in last year, I just did it all myself. Like I did my model's makeup, I did my model's, I think we actually ended up having a wig, and we just brought like all the props and stuff, and we just used a good quality phone camera. And the reason I'm saying that is because I don't want people to be put off entering it because they're like, oh my God, I don't know a photographer. I can't afford to pay a photographer, all of those extra things as well. So like you can go all out, but you don't necessarily have to either. And I did that and I still placed.
But also you can do trade swaps. Like if you do meet people, you can be like, you do this, I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, but if you don't know anyone, totally, that makes sense. That's so cool, Erin. You were like, I'm doing this all by myself, one woman show, and you placed. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I was stoked. I never ever thought, like, I entered just because I just wanted to experience it and see what it was like. And I never even thought that I would get any kind of placing for anything. So, and I put so much effort into that particular thing that to get that, I got silver. And to get that was just so rewarding. It was just like, wow, like
It hooks you in.
it blew me away.
You just have to, I know it's cliche, but you just have to do it. Even though you're scared, even though you're nervous, whatever. We all were like that, but you just have to do it. And then, yeah, you realize it's actually not that bad. And the things you get out of it, it's so on-flowing. Like you make all these cool relationships, you get all this content from your competitions. If you win anything, like it's, yeah. If you're on the fence about entering, just enter. And I think it was Jerry Lee said to me, enter as many as you can when you first enter, because you only get one time in novice. So like,
oh, okay.
as many as you can, because as soon as you've done novice once, you're up into open with people who have done it before. So do as many as you can in novice. I wish I had done more. I think I entered 4 categories. One of them I didn't even submit because I didn't like it. So I just didn't even submit it. And then nobody got anything because there was only, I think, one other person. So even if it was rubbish, and I would have got silver. So don't be like Mel, just send it in. It's not you that's judging it.
But maybe they should have said though that like, hey, we need more people.
They do. They do though. They promote
Do
this
they?
for months. People are just too scared.
Okay, I'm a big scaredy baby.
We did a Zoom class, like I had 8 hours blocked out for a Zoom class where anyone could do this class for free. I blocked out a whole day. I was like, get models, come in with models. Like, let's get this. We're going to make you win. And I think 4 people logged in and no one had a model. So we talked about comps for 2 hours and then logged off. Like, things are accessible. People put their roadblocks in because they are scared.
Yeah.
I really need to do it next year. Okay, I'm doing it next year.
And everybody's the same. Like, I think I thought I was the only one that was like bricking it, terrified, didn't think I was good enough. But really, everybody else is feeling that way too. You just have to do it. That's my only advice, is just do it.
What if you need to use the bathroom during
You
like,
hold
comps?
it.
You hold it.
Yeah.
I have IBS. I can't hold anything.
I mean, I'm sure that you could probably medical note it, but like you hold it.
Okay, because okay, that's fair.
Adult diapers were made for comps.
Gross, disgusting. Okay, everything's like, ew, it's passive beauty with the duty diapers. Like,
Okay, so the other thing Destiny wanted to know was people's experiences. Have we talked about this yet?
Nope.
Okay, well, let's talk about it from our different views. So Penny was a judge and also had her Monaco like students there.
But I have competed lots too, so I've got plenty of horror stories too. But I can tell both.
Your powder, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that story's famous now.
Yeah, Erin and I were both first-time competitors, so we've got a good kind of overview of different views of your comps. So I've already sort of talked about mine, but I was terrified, did it anyway, and my only regret is that I didn't enter more.
Because now you're an award-winning nail tech.
Yeah, so I entered 4, one of them I didn't send in, and the other 3 I got medals for. So I was like, man, I should have entered and given it a go. Like, if you don't place, it doesn't matter. Nobody's like, haha, you entered and didn't place.
triple award winner.
Especially with the send-in one, they're all anonymous. So no one would have known, even if it was the shittest one on the table, no one would have known it was you.
And I still would have got a medal because there was only 2 people. And I still could have been like, yay, I got second. Nobody knows that.
There were 2 of you.
You got second. Yay. Okay, so who wants to go next? And well, maybe you, Pat, explain to us from your side of the table. If we're on the other side and we're bricking it, working on your nails, what were you doing? What were you seeing? What were you hearing?
So I was Natty's model. So as we know Natty, but for those who don't know Natty, Natty is like a really cool character. She's like full of energy and she's like so vibrant. And she was just recording herself. Like she was recording herself doing my nails during the whole thing. And she would like randomly wave at the camera and blah, blah, blah. She was just so chill. And I was like, how is she so like relaxed? And like people were just having conversations and like, but also really focused. So Natty was seated next to Sammy Nicole, is that her name? Who was like overall grand champion winner last year, I think. That's right. It is right. I do remember. And like I was watching her and Natty and I was just like, wow, they're so good. And I felt so inspired as a baby nail tech and it was just really cool. But I was very conscious of the fact that my cuticles were a bit like not the best, so poor Natty had to deal with that and I really should have used cuticle oil more, so I'm very sorry Natty, I will do better. So
You are already better than my worst model experience, which I have told before, but not everyone listens to everything. So one year I had someone who is an extremely talented nail tech and who did our course, who also worked for me for a little bit, like until she built up her clientele. And she was going to be my model. I was like, great, she's going to understand exactly how important this is. And then she turned up with like 1 minute till the comp started, like literally, like basically slid in like a cartoon, still had acrylic remnants on her nails, had been out partying until 3 a.m. and had ripped them off in the taxi on the way home.
no.
And I cried for the first 10 minutes of comps. Like while prepping, my tears were literally dripping onto the table while I was prepping and she thought nothing of it. And then I can't remember what place I got, but I know I still placed because I remember her afterwards being like, see, I told you it wasn't a big deal. And I was like, I will kill you. So yeah, that was my worst model experience. I have, just because I'm on this tangent, I did slice the shit out of somebody once, in stiletto comp, which I thought of because I got second in that because I was second out of 2, same as what Mel's situation would have been. And I only entered it the night before because we had a launch event for something, and one of the organizers came to our launch event, and then she pulled me aside and was like, have you thought about entering stiletto? And I was like, I've never done a full set of stiletto in my life, so no. I was like, I did think about it because you can only win Master Champion, like Grand Champion of all of comps is the person with the most points across all categories added together. And so even if you bombed, like at least you got some points. And I said to her, I thought about it because I thought I might go for Grand Champion this year, but I didn't want to do all the photographics, so I didn't. And she was like, only one other person has entered, you're guaranteed second place. And I was like, okay. So then I found a model that night who I didn't know, and then I was panicking in the middle of the comp, and I went to do a sidewall, and I literally, when I say I cut her, I mean like her skin opened, like I sliced into her because I took brand new files. Like, these are the things you don't know. Like, when I say I cut her, I mean it may as well have been a knife. And then I got second.
You just made me think of the tip I remember that you had given us in that Zoom meeting, Penny, last year. Make sure you've got your resin there, because if you slice somebody, fill it with glue straight away before it bleeds. And then, yeah.
And that was taught to me by Alicia Raimondo Botero, who was like world champion 2 years in a row and trained under Tom Holcomb, like who was world champion like a million years in a row. Like she did all my comps coaching, and that's what she told me. Glue it shut before it gets worse.
Yeah, that's so cool. Not cool that you cut someone,
but yeah.
The things you learn. Like,
what about you, Erin? So I've talked about how it was like for me being a first time competitor. What was it like for you?
Absolutely mortifying. Like, because you guys know I'm a real scaredy cat, and I get really, and I get anxiety. Like, I have trouble with anxiety and that, and it just like I nearly didn't go. Like, I was just about to not catch the plane, and I think the thing is that I had to work at Expo, so if I didn't get on the plane, then I wouldn't have been at work. So I would have stuffed up my job and let the lady I contract for down as well. So I was like, I've got no choice. I have to do this. I'm here, and I just about like wasn't. Like, I'd already entered the submitted stuff, and I was okay with that. That I didn't feel quite so scared about. Like, I was like, oh, that was fun, and I entered it, and then I was like, I didn't even think about placing, like I was saying earlier. But yeah. But it was also really good because then once I'd done it, now I'm excited to do it next time. And I think I will enjoy the experience so much more next time because I've done it and I made myself do it. So,
and now you've had the experience of like judging as well through the Monaco mock comp, so then you see what the judges like, from their perspective what to look for in yourself, I guess. Like, so you're just going to be like so good next year.
Yeah, well, and I think but there's so many factors. Like, you could just be having a shit day too, or a great day. Like, so many things can affect how your experiences of something as well. So.
Also, though, things can affect you that are completely outside your control. Like, my first ever comp was in Australia, and I was like, I just want to enter one, just get it over and done with. And like, then I'll know what it's like, and then I'll try and win next year, kind of thing, right? So I had a sacrificial year, and I entered gel polish manicure. I got all brand new product off the stand because I was working at Expo, got all brand new product off the stand, went to the comp, and then doing my base layer of color on the French hand. The color, actually it started with the base coat, the bonding gel. It shrunk, but it shrunk to a degree I've never seen before or after, where the layer of color on the pinky finger became a line down the middle of the finger. Like I may as well have painted it with a striper. Like
Wow.
it shrunk so far to the middle. And so I was like, crap, okay, do another coat. That one did the same thing. 4 coats later, I now just had a really thick line in the middle of the freaking nail. And the others were shrinking, but not to that degree. My red hand was perfect, but my French hand was an absolute shit show. So I just left that comp being like, well, okay, well, I guess I tried. And then like went to watch prize giving because like the person that wins lotto is the one that didn't check their ticket. But obviously I didn't get a place, but I was just like, well, I still got to go. But yeah, that was totally out of my control. It was a brand new bottle off the shelf. Like, what else could I have done?
Did you find out what had actually caused that, Penny?
Nah, it could only have been either a contaminated model or a contaminated bottle. Like, there's really no other thing that could have caused it. And I can't say whether it was a contaminated model because I was shitting bricks. So how would I know what I did? And it could have been a contaminated bottle. Who knows? Maybe I contaminated the bottle. I mean, we all know that in the rush, I did put monomer straight into my acrylic powder jar one year. So maybe I put a drop of oil into the bottle of Beachwater.
It's such a good lesson. Like all you guys that are like, no, I can't do it, I can't enter it. We've all, like Penny's telling you all these failures she's had. Don't matter. She's still fully
Yeah, well, guess what? I didn't die.
business. Like it's okay if you go there and completely bomb. Like it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, for all of my failure stories, I've still got 19 first and second place trophies. Like it's just not that deep. Like just go do it.
You're gonna learn from it no matter what. Either way. Just before we wrap up, let's just take a minute to remind you guys about Summit 2025. You can find the link on the website. I'm not onto it like Penny. I don't have it on the top of my brain, but you can find it on there. Also, our affiliate codes work for Summit. So you can use mine, which is Jungle Nails, to get you 10% off. Erin's is Little Moons and Pat's is Patsative. So you can use any of those. Yeah, last year was so fun. Next year's going to be even bigger and better. So
in 2 sentences, what is Summit?
are you asking me or everybody else?
Anyone.
Okay, you guys go.
Delegating.
Summit is like this fun networking nail camp.
It's 3 days of networking, doing nails, living, breathing, just everything nails, and doing it with like your best buddies ever, even if you walk in knowing literally nobody. And on top of that, you get to practice for nail comps, and also you get coaching. So you learn so much shit. And even if you did so shit at the mock comps, well, guess what? Now you get to be better. Because that was my experience. I was so bad, but I learned so much, and I feel like I've grown so much since then. And that was only like 2 months ago. So.
And you get pizza and merch.
Hell yeah.
You have all the mentors and Penny at your fingertips to focus on what you want to learn. Yeah, it's you, like Pat said, even if you know nobody, you will leave with new friends. Guarantee it.
Everyone's social media leveled up so much after like Monaco Summit. It's crazy. So it's like, hello, you better sign up just for that.
Oh God, yeah. I've noticed like some of the grads and students that were there who attended the P-Day night where Penny went through the social media stuff, and I've noticed their photos and their captions and their posts and that just so much better.
For sure.
Erin, what were you going to say before we cut to ad?
Oh, I was just going to say how like when I was doing my French extensions at the comps, I had my brush case on the table. So this was something that went kind of wrong for me. And my model knocked it off the table and I couldn't get it back because you're not allowed to. So I was like, shit, I had to make do with what I had already taken out of my brush case. So yeah, things happen. You just do it.
Yeah.
You just
But what if it leaves the table? It's gone, like it doesn't exist.
Yeah. So once you start, you're not allowed to get anything out of your bags or anything. You've got to have everything on your table. So let's use this as a segue to get into like advice. So the three of us that have done a comp, advice on how you can prepare, how you can practice, and just any like tips and
Oh, I have advice. Not
Okay.
because I learned it. I'll go first. Just in case, bring traditional top coat. Yeah, traditional top coat. Because let's say you're out of time. Well, your model is gonna be waiting in line anyway. So just slap on some traditional top coat. It will dry by the time they get checked by the judge. Just make sure they line up at the back. I got that from Penny. It wasn't directed at me, but I learned it anyway. So I have something to contribute.
Yeah, good tip. And yeah, so like we just said, make sure you have everything. Like go through your service really slowly. So sanitizer, cleanser, like you need your cleanser, you need your wipes. Like make sure you've got everything. The one thing I forgot, and I was next to Sammy, the overall winner, and I didn't have a rubbish bag. And she was like, you don't have a bag? And I was like, no, because I didn't think of it. I just thought I've got everything I need.
Do you know in the international comps, if you don't have a rubbish bag, you can get disqualified?
What?
I would have got solid
wow.
one.
And also it has to all be like labeled, like you can't decant, you have to have stuff labeled with exactly what it is, what the ingredient, like internationals are nuts.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
The biggest advice that I got, I think it was probably from, I think it was either you or Anthea told me, remember when you're doing comps, you're just doing it to look good. You're not doing it to last 4 weeks. So don't focus on like cuticle prep, obviously make it look nice, but buffing and stuff like that, just do it and get it on. You're not trying to make it last. And there's tips and tricks like Anthea told me, because Anthea modeled for me, do a double layer of top coat if you've got time, and that'll even out your French. Don't focus too much on what doesn't matter in comps.
That was something I really had to drill into a few of the people at Summit in our like open book comps was, just what you were saying. Comps are not a judgment of how good of a salon tech you are. Comps are a totally different thing. Like when you're a race car driver, it's not a comparison to what you do on the motorway at 5 p.m. on a Friday. Like those are two different things. So if you're competing, it's for the fun of competition. It's for the award-winning next to your name. It does make you a way better tech. Like I've never left a competition floor not having learnt something, no matter what. But like, it's not the same as doing a set of nails in salon. Like you were saying, Mel, it's not supposed to last 4 weeks. It's supposed to meet criteria.
Yeah, and it's okay to separate it for comps. And I think like with your model, take your time in finding a model, like I had Anthea, which honestly I think is why I did so well, because she was so calm and she was telling me like, okay, move on from this, like move on to this, like don't waste time on this, like because she has obviously done it before. Yeah, or give your model, okay, we're starting at 10, by 10 past I want to have my base coat on and ready to go. And because you're allowed to have little timers on your desk, Penny?
Yeah, you can have a timer. And I had written down to say, as like, but you're already saying it, which is great, but to literally write down all your steps, work out exactly how long you've got to do each step, and then you write out a thing that says, like you were saying, 10 a.m. sanitize, 10:01 cleanse. I always give the first few steps a minute each because it means you run ahead and you're automatically ahead, and that feels good. So it's like a little morale boost. Like sanitize, 1 minute, cleanse, 1 minute, cuticles, 3 minutes, buffer, 6 minutes. And then you have a timer. You give that list to your model and they have a timer, and it's their job to yell at you. Like you can't win comps without a good model. They are just as big a part of winning as your work.
Yeah. Totally. And it is quite loud in there. Like you are allowed to chat and talk. Yeah, I think another advice too is tell your model, like, I'm going to be concentrating, because there's people milling around in the expo and they'll come up and say, oh, can I get my nails done next? Or what are you guys doing? Or, oh, what's that color? They'll try and talk to you. And My advice is tell your model, like, I'm not talking to anyone. So if someone comes over, you explain to them what's happening, or tell them, like, leave us alone, we're competing, go away. Remove that from you, like, put it onto your model.
Do you know one like interesting tactic I think interesting, because that happens all the time, is depending on how the layout was, I would always choose a desk next to the rope or the barrier or whatever there is. So I was on the edge, which sounds like you're going to get bothered more. Actually, what it means is that you can politely engage and then get rid of someone without having to look across the room at who's yelling your name. If you're in the middle of the comps area and someone's like, oh, Penny, and then you're looking up and you're trying to find who the hell is saying your name so that you're not being rude, but you're also in the middle of a comp, it's nah. So I would always sit on the rope, because then whoever wanted to say hi to me would come directly to the side of my desk, say hi, and then I'd be like, I love you so much. I'm in the middle of a comp. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just concentrating. And I'd leave the conversation to my model, like you just said.
I think on that note, then people definitely need to brief their models on what they need from them, because I had no idea that I was supposed to be doing these things. But now I know, in case I am a model again, but I should tell this to my future models. So noting that.
I had Leonie as my model for extensions, and she was an amazing model. Like, I was so nervous, and she just talked to me so calmly and so beautifully and kept me so calm as I can be. And it makes all the difference. And she had really nice nails too, because obviously she'd cared for them. And whereas my model that I had for my gel polish didn't have the best nails, and I think I could have potentially have done better in that category had I had a better model for that. So it does make a huge difference, making sure that they care for their nails before comps as well, like cuticle oiling, and like, it's good if you can have someone who is a client of yours, I think, as well.
And you're not allowed to prep them in most categories before the comp, but what you can do is prep them a week before so that they're in good condition, and then, you know, a week later you don't have so much work to do.
Yeah, give them an IBX treatment.
And just some like requests from the judges table, please cure everything, because it's our job to touch your nails. And there were 3 different people at last year's comps that I went to touch their nail. I was the first judge in line, and I got covered in raw gel. And as behind the table, it's blind judging. I am not allowed to run out from behind the table and go clean my hands, or I will see everybody in queue, and it's no longer blind judging. So like Pat was saying, if you don't have time to cure, don't put the thing on, put traditional polish on and let it air dry so that we're not putting ourselves at risk. And then the other thing I would say is, if you flood the nails with cuticle oil, we can't see what you want us to see. And we don't have wipes. Like, we're not allowed to alter the nails that you submit to us. So when you put the cuticle oil on, buff it back off. So you're like rubbing it in with a lint-free wipe. Don't put it on like you would in Salon and let it soak in. Put it on and then buff it off again, and they'll still look nice, but we'll be able to see everything.
To wrap this episode up, let's do the one piece of advice we wish someone had told us before we entered.
My best advice is don't overthink it. Have good notes, like we were talking about, Penny was mentioning about writing the steps down. Just be organized, and don't overthink it, and just do it. Just have a go at it.
I think that's literally the summary, is just do it. Just, who cares? Don't practice. Don't, just register. That's all you have to do. And then you just have to pack your kit the morning of the competition. I will say, pack twice as much stuff as you think you need, and make sure you go through all your steps. Actually, one thing that I did used to do is, my last client before comps, as I did their nails, I would put each thing not away. Like, I'd put it off to the side, so I knew I had everything I needed to do a set, because otherwise you forget your wipes or like whatever. But yeah, just stop coming up with roadblocks.
My other tip, if you're flying, buy some of those, like when you get trial kits and stuff from places, because they often have like the miniature primer and the miniature prep and stuff in there. Reduces your weight.
Or do an order, because most distributors are going to be at Expo where the comps are. So do an order and ask to pick it up at Expo, and then you're not flying with anything.
Yeah, that's even better.
My tip is, I guess, to just sign up. So I will do that next year. Why do I keep giving myself homework in each episode? But, it is what it is.
Yeah, totally. And mine's the same. Just do it. You won't regret it. I promise you, you won't regret it. Even if you bomb completely, you will still have an amazing weekend and meet some amazing people. And then you will know what to expect for the year after. You'll feel more comfortable and you won't bomb. Promise. Promise, promise. Okay. Do you know what we're doing next week, Pat?
She should do.
I should do, because I requested this episode. I was basically like, what do we need to do to just start?
Okay.
And I even told Penny that the episode could be about bullying me into being serious. But yeah, so just, what do we need to get started and get off your ass and go full time? That's what the episode is about.
Sweet. Okay, perfect. Until then, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching Monaco Nail Academy. And you can also follow our salons. Mine is Jungle Nails.
Mine is Little Moon Nails.
Mine is Patsy the Beauty.
And I'm Hard Like a NZ.
Sweet. Well, have a great week, and we shall see you guys next week.
Bye.